Hi, everyone. Welcome into the UAC Best Practices podcast. I'm Dr. Alan Miner with my host, Dr. Brian Capra. Today's guest is Carolyn Boldt from Crossfield Design. I'm talking about something we've never spoken with. Her and her husband are members of UAC. They specialize in updating, redesigning, designing, building, laying out the interior design of a chiropractic practice. They work all over the world. They're an amazing couple. And it's just something maybe you haven't thought about yet lately is the aesthetics of your office, or maybe you're moving into a clinic and want to think about the aesthetics. This is a good starting point, this podcast. Our sponsor for today's episode is the Remarkable Practice, TRP. Are you feeling like you own a job rather than a business? It's time to make a change. Tune in to the Remarkable CEO podcast, where Dr. Stephen Franson and Dr. Pete Camiolo share actionable strategies to help you scale your practice without burning out. Learn how to build a world-class team and transition from owner-operator to CEO. This podcast is your resource to grow both your business and your impact, all while maintaining your time freedom. Be sure to check it out. And remember, this message is brought to you by UAC, but the content comes from the Remarkable CEO podcast. Thank you for joining us. Let's jump in with Carolyn.
All right, everyone, welcome to the UAC Best Practices podcast. Our hope for you today is that you get a best practice from one of our UAC members that you could take home, internalize, that will help your practice or your business or your life in general. So with that, I'm going to turn over to my co-host, Dr. Alan Miner.
Thank you, Dr. Brian. Appreciate you. And our guest today is Carolyn Boldt. Carolyn and her husband, Scott, own Crossfield, which does interior design for chiropractic practices. They also have a construction division. But they're based out of Gainesville, Georgia. And actually, Carolyn, you're just sharing, you got your start out of Life University, and that's why you're in that area. Is that correct?
Yes, we started doing design build for Life University in 2003.
Cool. Were you helping with the campus or clinics, or where were you helping?
It was the campus, and of course, that's what they did. We did a couple of clinics there also. We did the public clinic, the student clinic, the offshoot. There were some offshoot clinics, outreach clinics, some of those clinics. But that's where I learned about the facility planning for a chiropractic office and all the different techniques and all of those things. Yes.
I just missed you. I graduated in 2002. Just missed you.
Just missed us. Yeah. We were the in between.
It was badly needed when I left.
Yeah. So we were there, and we continued to do that till about 2016. And in 2010, we started to teach doctors, students about how the quality of their space impacts their success. We just did it as gratis, and then that evolved into how can we help chiropractors. So we developed a way to help chiropractors virtually we can work all over the world. Our focus is the United States, but we work all over the world.
So who's your ideal candidate? What kind of practice owners do you guys love working with? And behind that, the follow-up question is, what are you seeing incorporated into the design these days of chiropractic clinics in this, 2020 modern world?
In the 2020 modern world, 2026 are now, right? So we work with everything from students to franchises. So we have everything in between. I would say our sweet spot that we found is the doctor who is probably been in practice 7 to 10 years and is building not his startup. He's building his second, and then we work with a lot of doctors that are building multiple offices. So we'll create a brand for them and just continue to go from there. So what took me into the Ultimate Achievers Club was our clients. I had several clients that were in it. Yeah. So
I noticed early on, I think when I was opening my first clinic, just intuitively how run down so many practices looked. They were made pretty 10 years ago, and that's become the chiropractor's home, and like people's houses, they stop looking at it from an aesthetic standpoint. And then as a young doc coming out, I was blown away at just how old and dated things looked. And I'm just curious to hear your insights on this because I really believe there's a strong correlation with the design and the layout and the finishings of a clinic that non-verbally translate or communicate the value of a clinic. Even looking at your background, which is just looks nice, clean furniture, paint. There's just something to the background and to the environment that I think speaks to maybe the quality, the price point. Can you talk a little bit about that integration?
Yes, I can. So, yes, the way we started was we really had a passion to elevate chiropractic. This was 2010. And if I told my design friends that that's what I wanted to do, they said, "Why? They're horrible offices." And I said, "That's exactly why they need us, right?" So you guys had a terrible reputation of horrible offices. And what we've seen over the years is they have improved. In fact, we used to tell our students when you start looking for your practice, go find lots of pictures, give yourself an inspiration board, but you're probably not going to find a lot of good looking chiropractic offices. Now you will. You will find more and more than you can for the last, with 15 years, 16 years. So, but the quality of your office and everything about it aesthetically, the way it flows, all of those things really do impact impacts two things. The flow impacts your operations, right? So we know that seems to be something that most chiropractors understand, that the flow creates efficiency and it
Yeah.
creates how many patients they can see and stops the bottlenecks. And that's more of a manufacturing process, thought process. But the aesthetic part is kind of taken for granted a lot of times. But if you think about in retail and hospitality, in retail design, the environment that you walk into should correlate with what they're selling. And so if you walk into an office that's shabby and you're trying to sell $1,000 package, you're working uphill. You're working uphill. Where if you walk into an office that's already feels like you should be buying $1,000 package, it's easier. And so we've seen that a direct correlation with our doctors that we work with that either they're moving and building a new office and it's going to have a different feel than their first office, or they're renovating their existing office. Just immediately, it's easier to it's
Mhm.
easier to sell. It's much easier because it relates to each other. So that's
Sure.
kind of the premise. And then our third thing is that most of our doctors already understand that. They understand that that quality is important, but it's a very complicated process to open an office from especially from scratch. And so we have a signature 6-step process that just gets them through it really fast and really easy. So it saves them time and money and energy and, you know, keeps
Can you
them
talk
from
through that? I was gonna ask, yeah, how do you jump into a clinic to help out? If you can remote in virtually, can you give a little details about what services you provide and what that looks like and how that works?
like to actually walk you
Maybe
through
it's
what
like
we would do.
Yeah, yeah. So
just
somebody's
video,
opening a
fix
new
that.
clinic
Yeah.
and they're like, I don't know what to do with this, or maybe I have an idea, but I don't know the design and I don't know who locally knows this. And I didn't even know there was a company that does this for chiropractors. So
No, there's
kind of walk us through on a high level. What do you do with a client to take them through this journey, and what services along the way do you guys offer?
okay. So we have 6 steps. So our first step, step one, is ideally before they ever do anything, when they're first thinking about what they want to do. So it's a very consultative process to help them pull together their ideas aesthetically and branding, because this is about branding. This is not about, hey, what color do I like? This is about who do you need to show up for with your ideal patient. And just like you would be doing a website or being a logo, it's the same type of thing. So what is the branding going to be? But the other part of it is what the physical space. So we do facility planning. So you think about a doctor that I love it when doctors come to us and they say, "Oh, I think I'm going to need 2,000 square feet because I'm in 3,000 square feet now and I waste all of it." And then, well, what services are you not going to carry anymore? Well, no, I want to add these services. So when you start to do those things, it's like it's quantitative. So our step one is it's very much gathering all the things that you want to do, quantifying how many spaces you have, how big those spaces ideally need to be, quantifying the square footage, looking at the flow, and just really getting granular and documenting it. So many people come to us after they've already found space, but the ones that come to us before they find space get really centered on exactly what they need, and it serves them better, saves them a lot of time. So that's step one. So what are your requirements for design, and what are your requirements for your facility, aesthetically and square footage wise? Then ideally you would go look for space or look for a space to buy, or you would consider, do I expand? All of those kind of, the space becomes into it in step two. And then what we do is we do a lot of people know it as space study test fits, or a space plan or floor plan or something, but we do multiple plans for every space. Give you an example, in 1,100 square foot, we can usually yield about 8 to 10 different ways it could be laid out. So what you want to do is you want to look at all the different ways it can be laid out and really look at it on paper to analyze what's going to be the best flow, what's going to be the best thing, because it's much cheaper to do it on paper than it is to do it in real life and wish you'd done something different, right? So that's step two. And then the other part of step two is then we lay that aesthetic vision on top of it. And we do 3D drawings and colorations to kind of get that initial design. So the goal is that's very initial plan and vision. And then that can be soft priced out, not a hard bid, but soft priced out. Ideally, you do that before you ever close on the space or buy the space or lease it or whatever. But it validates that's going to work for you. And you also know how much it's a business decision, because how much money can I make in this space depends on how many spaces you have and what you're doing and what those spaces are working on. So that's that piece of it. Then 3 is like architectural drawings.
Yep.
You're doing all the ceiling, the lighting, the electrical. Step 4 are what you think of traditional interior. So it's the finishes, the front desk, the specialty items. Step 5 is like laying over that layer of permits that are required for permits, and also the engineering drawings. And then it goes to construction. And step 6 is where we stay on board to make sure that the contractor is doing what we've designed, because that's a set of construction drawings are actually a contract.
Yeah.
But we intimately know the contract, you know what I'm saying? So we know what needs to happen. So that's our 6 steps.
I love it. And I think what I'm teasing out is if somebody was going into an already built out second gen space, you might not have to help with the construction, but you can help with the layout, the aesthetics, help them figure out how to best utilize that space for the goals they're trying to achieve.
Yes, and what I described to you is if probably the full gut and start over, but you are correct. Those steps can be taken through, whether it's a minor remodel or just looking at, hey, I want to add a service. We have a lot of doctors that come, hey, I want to add a service. How can I get this service in there? And we start looking at how could we rearrange it. May or may not require permits. Depends on how much you do and what needs to be involved.
I love it. I love it. So, you and Scott, it was interesting because our last podcast, he'd been in UAC for 15 years, and you guys have been in for 4 or 5 months. You guys joined at our New York event, and you were just in Beverly Hills. So we always like to wrap the podcast. Well, first, how do people find you? If they want to get more information, get in touch, do you guys have a website or a number?
We have a website. Our website is crossfieldsdesign.com.
Great.
But if you Google chiropractic office design, we come up really easily. That's an easier memory. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then how about UAC? What's the experience as a newer member? What's the experience been for you being in this room? You're like a growing group of our members where you guys aren't chiropractors, but you have a B2B business that obviously serves chiropractors. And that's kind of the fun of UAC is we have this mix of practicing docs and businesses that serve chiropractors. And what's the experience been so far, and what's been the benefit to you?
So the experience had been, well, I remember walking into New York in September, and there were I knew one of our clients was going to be there, and then one of our clients brought us, Joe Esposito invited us there. But it was like, oh my gosh, there's 10 people in this room that are our clients that we've known. And that was really fun. That was really, and it just made us feel like, these are people that, and they're our ideal clients. So we just are sitting and having lunch with our ideal clients. It's wonderful. So that's what it's been for us. Yeah.
I love it.
Being able
And,
to share.
I'll ask an obvious question too. What about the chiropractor who wants to remodel an existing clinic? Do you help in that aspect at all?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. About one third of our, one third of our product, one third of our clients are just pure remodels of existing. And it could either be because of service changes or because you said it earlier, it's very dated and they realize that they could get what we have a lot. I love this. I know we're almost finished, but we'll have the son or the daughter of a chiropractor who's taken over the father or the mother's office, typically the father's office, and the father hasn't changed anything in 30 years. And yeah, that's a real fun one because it's a, yeah.
How often should you remodel, refresh?
So things date every 7 to 10 years. Okay. Think about cars, think about clothing.
Yep.
Classic architecture, if you do it really classic and you don't do trendy, you can probably get away with 10 to maybe 12 years. But colors are going to change and things of that sort. So, yeah.
Yeah, I read years ago one of the best ways to stay young when you get into your 70s and 80s and 90s is still update your home, update your wardrobe, update your hairstyle. A lot of people, they get, and I see that with practices, they get locked into
I get locked in.
that 20 years and never updates. And
Yeah, it's really hard because I'm going to share this. It's really hard if you think about a practice and they've been doing it for 20, 25 years and it's running and it's making money and it's profitable.
Yep.
And it's why do they have to change anything? Why do they have to change anything?
yeah,
So it is a really hard thing because it's costly to change and it's very disruptive to change.
Right. That's
So a lot of times it takes new blood to come in there and say you really need to change. But what we've seen over and over again is when they do change, the referrals go way up, way up.
I
So the
believe that.
clients that have been there forever suddenly
Yeah.
want to start sharing it with their friends.
Yeah, there's a buzz. And in today's world of social media posting and Google pictures, like I think people judge your office on the appearance of it. And more than any time, can see the appearance of the office, which is a reflection of all your care, your price points, everything. So, well, Carolyn, that was insightful. I appreciate you sharing that lens, and we're honored to have you all be a part of UAC. And thanks for coming on today.
Thanks, Carolyn.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good day.